Thanks for tuning in to 5 While You Drive, an American Daily Press podcast, where we bring you 5 trending news topics for your daily commute. Today is September 6th, 2024. The top story, unfortunately, is a school shooting. 2 students and 2 teachers were murdered Wednesday at Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia. 9 more were hospitalized for injuries. The suspect, who is in custody, has been identified as a 14-year-old student at the school. I am not telling you their name. Georgia Bureau of Investigation Director Chris Hosey said that the student will be charged and handled as an adult. He also said the student's father is being charged with second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, and cruelty to children, saying, quote, "These charges stem from knowingly allowing his to possess a weapon." End quote. Interestingly, the student was previously interviewed by Georgia police in 2023 about online posts threatening a school shooting, but no arrests were made due to a lack of evidence. The student is currently being held at the Gainesville Regional Youth Detention Center. Speaking of criminals, Hunter Biden, son of current President Joe Biden, pled guilty yesterday to all of the charges in the federal tax case against him. Although there should be an asterisk there because his lawyer said that the guilty plea was an Alford plea. So what's an Alford plea, you ask? Well, it's named after a 1970 Supreme Court case involving one Henry Alford, who pled guilty, or is that pleaded guilty? Whatever. To second-degree murder just to avoid the death penalty, but still claimed he was innocent. So in a nutshell, it's maintaining innocence despite offering a guilty plea. The young Mr. Biden entered this sudden guilty plea potentially to avoid an embarrassing trial for himself and also for his family. The Justice Department said in a news release that Hunter, quote, faces a maximum penalty of 17 years in prison, end quote, and that the judge in the case, quote, will determine a sentence after taking into account the U.S. sentencing guidelines and other statutory factors, end quote. The sentencing is set for December 16th. Well, it's Jobs Report Day, which isn't a holiday celebrating the late Steve Jobs. It's the day we find out the August job numbers. So what's it going to show? Maybe something good? Maybe something bad? Well, analysts are quick to point out that the jobless rate rose in July after a year of gradually getting higher. And if August follows that same trend, there's the worry that the U.S. may be headed toward a recession. But maybe it's not all gloom and doom, because some forecasters are anticipating that the report will show a lower unemployment rate, and that July's data is just a false alarm. Whatever it ends up being, it's coming at an interesting time, since the Fed, by all accounts, is moving toward its first interest rate cut since the start of the 2020 pandemic, or as I like to call it, pestilence tide. That rate cut will happen at the central banker meeting on September 17th through 18th, and whether that cut will be 25 or 50 basis points will likely depend on how well the job market is doing. Fed Chair Jerome Powell said in his latest speech, quote, "We do not seek or welcome further cooling in labor market conditions," end quote. No kidding, Jer. Football is back. Fresh on the heels of college football comes the National Football League, which kicked off, no pun intended. Or maybe it is. It seems like everyone else used it that way. Anyway, kicked off yesterday with the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Baltimore Ravens in a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. And it was everything fans were hoping it would be. Kansas City was up by 7 in the fourth quarter, and Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson appeared to connect with Isaiah Likely to score a touchdown just as time expired. It was a frenzy. Should they play it safe with the PAT, or should they go for 2? Well, unfortunately, the Zebras in the replay booth made that decision for them, because upon further review, Likely's toe was just out of bounds when he came down with the football, meaning the pass was ruled incomplete. And just like that, the sighs could be heard in Baltimore, and not the sighs of relief from all the Swifties. The next NFL game will be between the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles in... Am I reading this right? In Brazil? Brazil, okay. The same Brazil where X is banned. Yes, that Brazil. Finally, speaking of lowering the ban hammer, or at least a hammer, or a gavel. A federal judge has temporarily blocked the revamped Biden student loan forgiveness program that was set to take effect this fall. U.S. District Judge Randall Hall of Georgia issued the order yesterday, saying that states suing the administration have a, quote, substantial likelihood of success, end quote, with their argument that the Department of Education does not have the authority to implement the loan forgiveness. If this story doesn't sound new to you, well, it's because it's merely the latest in a long stream of roadblocks to the Biden administration's efforts. Notably, the Supreme Court, in the year of our Lord 2023, struck down Biden's first attempt at loan forgiveness. White House spokesman Angelo Fernandez said, quote, "We strongly disagree with today's ruling by the Georgia District Court." He went on to say that, quote, "Our administration will continue to vigorously defend the department's student debt relief efforts." Thanks for tuning in to 5 While You Drive. We hope you enjoyed your stay. If you like what you heard, give us a follow on X, or you can visit AmericanDailyPress.com. If you'd like to leave feedback and end up in the mailbag, you can send us an email at 5drive, that's the number 5 and the word drive, at AmericanDailyPress.com.